Hi folks, welcome to today's color process video. Today's comic is, in terms of its colors, and I suppose in terms of the line work as well, is very much a case of me trying to stick with the done is better than perfect approach to art. Um, like if you look at the first panel, for example, the way I colored the background there, where it's uh, various different is it values? Is that the term? Values of the same hue. Let's just say lightness and darkness of the same color. Um, that's something I used to do a lot back in the earlier days of my comic. But as time went on, I started to, put in a lot more like detailed shading. However, I felt in this case that because of the simplicity of the artwork, the line work, there was no need to go like really in depth with the colors. I felt going with a fairly flat color scheme overall would be the best way to go. Um, a big part of what pushed me into doing that was because I had to go to the dentist earlier to get my braces out. Hooray! After 6 months. Um, so that obviously ate into my time, which meant that I was kind of pushed for time in getting this done. Um, so I decided to, as I said, just get the colors done rather than worrying about making it look, really beautiful. I mean, for example, the third panel, I was thinking of giving that like a super detailed look, especially the characters, giving them almost like a hand painted look. However, my time just wasn't. It just wasn't available. Like that's something you become so conscious of as you get older. I find you just every every minute counts. It really does, and like every few minutes extra that you add to what you're doing, that's potential minutes taken from something else you could be doing. Now, in my case, it's basically just anything but drawing. Like once I'm done with my comic, like in terms of drawing it, coloring it, doing the Patreon posts and all that, I just step away from anything creative entirely. Like I just tend to spend my free time playing games or just watching videos on YouTube or something. Um, there would have been a time when I would have stepped away from the comic for an hour or two to grab a bite to eat, and then I'd immediately go back to doing some other kind of drawing or doing something else to do with my comic. However, I find I don't know, is it because of building up bad habits? Is it a bad habit? Um, stepping away from things to take a break. But no, I'm kind of rambling here. But no, no. I think overall it's better for my mental well-being, to step away from this stuff. So um, getting it done fairly quickly helps with that, and it only further allows me to continue doing my work to the best of my ability. Um, like if I had spent, you know, a couple of hours, maybe more, trying to make it look the most beautiful I could, um, that could be time well spent in my mind in the moment. but in hindsight, it it wouldn't be a very good use of my time, especially for a comic like this. If it was something that was more um, serious, like as in it was like it was a narrative based comic. It was something that I really wanted to have it look the absolute best. Then I could understand wanting to put the that kind of time into it. But for stuff like this, I need to be more mindful about how much time I put into it. So like I'm looking at it here in front of me, and this took me just over an hour, 20 minutes, which I still think is a long time for this comic. I think I could speed up a bit more. The trouble with me is I tend to get caught up in little details that don't really matter in the end. One thing that kind of tripped me up was the shading on the characters um, in a few parts of the comic, where like I would go one way and then I'd double back and I'd go another way, and then I'd keep going back and forth until I eventually just stuck with what you see in front of you. Um, it does lead me to wondering sometimes if shit, like I think one of the things that actually really does add to how much time I spend on these things is the character shading and my tendency to overthink it. Um, Now, I think in this case, I kind of needed the characters to be shaded because I think it would have been too simple and flat if I just left everything like unlit. But um, at the same time, that's how I'm looking at it. Other people would look at it and they'd probably like it just fine without the lighting. You know, they probably wouldn't even notice that the lighting is gone. I'm not saying that everybody would, but I'm thinking the vast majority of people wouldn't. Um, so yeah. Like I just don't want to fall into the trap that I always fall into, where I start spending more and more and more time on this stuff after I come back from a break. You know, I always make this promise to myself that, yeah, I'm going to spend less time, uh, working on this stuff to allow me to, recharge my batteries and relax and whatnot. Um, However, it seems every single time I fall into that trap. And not that I did this time, but it is something I am quite conscious of, like that. I I could have and I should have spent less time on this than I did, considering the level of the artwork. Um, so yeah. Uh, do I have anything else to say? I don't think I have anything else to say. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you at the next video. Take care.